TVC News at 1. Let's turn attention to business now. President Bola Tinubu has established a committee to oversee the Green Economic Initiative, being a strategic move to ensure the advancement of his administration to tackle the challenges of climate change in Nigeria. The Director of Information and Public Relations, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Segun Imohiosin, said this in a statement in Abuja. The committee, chaired by President Tinubu, has the Minister of Environment, Mr. Balarabe Lawal, as Vice Chairman, the Special Advisor, Mr. Jurin Ngelale, Secretary Special Presidential Envoy, among others. According to the statement, the Presidential Committee on Climate Action and Green Economic Solutions established by the President will coordinate and oversee all policies and programs on climate action and green economic development. Away from there now, ahead of the CBN Policy Committee, some financial and economic experts are advising the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria to retain the lending rate of 24.75%. The economic experts gave the advice in Abuja on the backdrop of the MPC meeting scheduled for Monday and Tuesday. A professor of capital market and the president of Capital Market Academics of Nigeria, Mr. Uche Waleki, urged the MPC to retain the prevailing rate to mitigate the impact of its aggressive policy tightening on Nigerians. According to him, quote, "If I were a member of the MPC, I would vote for a hold position as the aggressive policy rate hike is taking a toll on output," end quote. And now traders at the PMTN port have received call to utilize trade facilitation tools provided by Customs for smoother trade operations. The recent handover ceremony for leadership change at the PTML Customs Command in Tinkan Island, stakeholders were reminded of the significance of accurate declarations for efficient cargo processing. Outgoing Assistant Controller General Saidu Yusuf emphasized effort to curb revenue losses to enhance process accountability. Incoming Controller Teni Deniyo pledged continuous stakeholder engagement in port trade while upholding stringent adherence to trade regulations.
A lot of sacrifices to ensure that all duties due on each and every cargo that comes through this command is accounted for. We put up that structure and we've worked together to ensure that there is no leakage.
Compliance is the word. And I can't overstate these things, the issue of trade compliance that will be buttressed by procedure codes, correct procedure codes, adhering strictly also to what we call processes, because there are processes for doing anything. And we are going to apply the risk management techniques because we are going to collect maximum revenue.
And now the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria wants the federal government to put a stop to non-state actors in the collection of taxes. Speaking at the unveiling of its liaison office as part of activities of a 26th annual tax conference in Abuja, the president and chairman of the council says the involvement of non-state actors and the collection of taxes does not allow for accountability in the system. Helen Osamide King's report.
Tax to GDP ratio is a comparison between the amount of tax collected in a year relative to a country's GDP, which is the total outcome of goods and services over a period. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edu, had hinted that Nigerians' tax to GDP ratio is low as some segments of the country might not be paying their taxes. The Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria attributes non-state actors' participation in tax collection as one of the reasons for low tax to GDP ratio in Nigeria.
I will stand.
Can't allow non-state actors to play a vital role of collecting tax. It is not possible. It is not sustainable. We can't go. It is not a civilized way of doing this, and there is no accountability in it anyway. When you see people talking about Nigerian tax to GDP is low, that is one of the elements that is causing the low tax percentage to GDP, because what the non-state actors are collecting, they are not accountable for it, and they are not putting it into the common parts of the country.
The Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria's 26th Annual Tax Conference, with the theme Sustainable Tax Culture and Economic Roadmap for Nation Building, had tax professionals, policymakers and government authorities in attendance. The President and Chairman of Council says suggestions and deliberations at the conference will be presented to government authorities for implementation.
We will be there as a partner, as we always been, most especially from my predecessors and also from me. Because I remember I become the member almost 12 years ago when I was Commissioner of Finance in Oyo State.
We are not just going to send our communique to Federal Inner Revenue. We are not going to send to Federal Ministry of Finance. We are even going to send to the National Security Advisor, because the role of the non-state actor has security aspect that FRS cannot handle. So we are going to send our communique to various stakeholders for implementation.
The unveiling of these lies in office marks a significant milestone for these institutes as they continue to impact the tax profession positively. Helen Osamede Akins, TVC News, Abuja.
Also, Nigeria now, Asian shares hit 2-year highs, while copper and gold struck records today as investors waggered on interest rate cut around the corner, and China stepped up efforts to steady its alien property sector. Gold climbed more than 1% to 2,449.89, and copper futures surged nearly 7% in Shanghai to a record 88,940 yuan a ton, and fetched about 11,104 US dollars in London. MSCI's Broadex Index of Asia Pacific shares outside Japan was up by 0.4%. Japan's Nikkei rose 0.7% and hit a 5-week high, and world shares were within a whisker of last week's record peaks. S&P 500 futures rose 0.1%, and this lead futures and European stock market there. Apple has launched an aggressive discounting campaign on its official Tmall site in China, offering discount of up to 2,300 yuan, that is about 318 US dollars, on select iPhone models. The cut in prices comes as the US tech giant seeks to defend its position in the high-end smartphone market, where it faces increasing competition from local rivals such as Huawei. The price reduction will commence from today, May 20th to May 28th, which has been desirable as more substantial than the one Apple offered in February. The increased competitive pressure on Apple comes after Huawei last month introduced its new series of high-end smartphones. According to data from China Academy of Information and Communications Technology, Apple's shipments in China increased by 12% in March 2024. And in the crude oil space, prices extended gains earlier today amid political uncertainty in major producing countries after Iran's president died in a helicopter crash, and Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince cancelled a trip to Japan, citing issues with the king's health. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude fell to sell at $80.02 per barrel, with a downward price review of 0.05%. Brent crude futures also experienced an uptick of 0.12%, selling at $84.08 per barrel. Burning Light recorded an upward price margin of 0.55%, selling at $83.46 per barrel. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers offer $83.30 per barrel, with an upsurge of 0.42%. Well, and that's all for business.